Switch sides.
Why everyone wants to switch sides, bro? Everyone, even Bad Tukhan. Okay. No, go. Hello, guys. Welcome to the podcast, Talksick Ep2. I'm here with my dear friend.
Aleks.
Can you tell me more about yourself? Like, grab the mic and go crazy.
My name is Aleks. I study in Ghent. I studied 1 year here in Brussels. That's where I met this guy. I do a lot of things. I studied graphic design in Ghent. In Ghent, yeah.
Ghent.
It's with a lot of graphic design and a bunch of other stuff mixed together. In my free time, I also make beats. I also love talking about languages. If I could talk about anything like for the rest of my life, it would be languages. Yeah. Yeah.
Why haven't you like tried doing like, I don't know, linguistic instead of graphic design? Because I know it's your passion.
Yeah.
And from everyone, like every diversity that we saw,
Yeah.
you're always like trying to like get to know more words from them, you know?
Yeah.
Like for me, Azizam.
Yeah.
Like what else?
Um.
In
Well-
Persian, what do you know?
Oh, what do I know in Persian? Khubi,
Khubi, okay.
Khodafez,
Alright.
Azizam.
Okay, how old are you? You haven't told me.
I'm 22 years old.
22.
I turn 23 later this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, damn, I feel old now, but it's chill. Alright, so if you're gonna start with your experience with Belgium, how long have you been living here? Like, how long has it been? What did you do till now? If you wanna like be like, give us a summary. Like, what did you did in Belgium in total?
So, to recap my story, I came to Belgium on August 1st of 2022. I was living in Lithuania at the time. To explain more about myself, I'm half Lithuanian, half American. And so I was finishing high school, the last 2 years of high school in Lithuania. And on overnight, my sister, my dog, and I, we drove in a van 27 hours from Vilnius to Brussels. And yeah, Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania.
Okay.
That's where I lived as a kid, and that's where I finished my last 2 years of high school. And so we drove 27 hours by van, like a minibus or minivan or whatever. Yeah, with our dog. We arrived in Brussels, and so that's where my parents settled.
Brussels.
Yeah.
Okay.
My sister went to go study in Amsterdam, and I came to study also in Brussels. But I lived in a dorm, a very famous one that everyone knows, Schoofslaan. That's where I met Hussein and a lot of people, a lot of different people. My parents stayed in Brussels. My sister came to join my parents. She didn't like her program there. And I was studying linguistics. Yeah. With Fabrizio, who was shouted out in the last episode.
True.
So I realized that the course wasn't being taught exactly the way I enjoy languages, because I like more the kind of history of the languages, how they're related to each other, different words, whatever. But they were teaching it very much like a high school class, like a high school kind of language. Yeah.
Learn it and how to speak.
Literature and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you guys had like literature history, no?
Yeah.
Like.
In Belgium, there's different types of high schools, or there used to be different types of high schools, and there's one which is kind of like the smart one, so to say, where people learn literature. So basically, those kids they were all in my program.
Okay.
And so I always had this creative side. I was making beats since I was really young. In America, I lived in Atlanta, and Atlanta is very well known for rappers. So I used to tell people that in Atlanta, everyone's either a rapper or a producer.
That's true. Travis Scott is from Atlanta, no?
Travis Scott?
Yeah.
No, he's from Houston. Migos, 21 Savage.
He has a song like Atlanta.
A song called Lithuania.
Really?
Yeah. It's a song. Yeah. So, but I always had this creative side. I was making beats since I was, I think, in 8th grade, maybe 9th grade, which so I was like 14.
Okay.
So for a very long time now. And I always had this creative side. And I was like, in my last 2 years of high school in Lithuania, I had a graphic design class. And I realized I really liked it. And so I decided to kind of pursue that. So I found a graphic design program in Ghent. I decided to stay in Belgium because it's, I like Belgium.
I feel like you're passionate about it as well, no? Like the graphic design that I see, like you're continuing it compared to the linguistic that we saw. And I feel like, I don't know, you have more energy these days. You go to gym more often. Like you take care of yourself, you work, and you're studying at the same time. And it's like, that's really like big up to you, you know? Like honestly, this
Thank you.
path from the beginning, like 3 years ago or something, or 2 years ago, like since I met you until now, so many things changed for you, and I appreciate it. You know, like and it's super nice to watch like your friends like improve. And I really love it.
I would say the same thing about you. I would say you're a different person than
Really?
2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You're in a much better place.
I am.
You wouldn't have been posting this 2 years ago.
No. I was
You-
supposed to like I was always like waiting for my friends to like do the podcast, and after a point I was like, okay, fuck it, I have to do this on my own. And Batu Khan said the good thing, like at the end, if nobody's gonna watch it, you're gonna have a full library of the interviews that you have, and maybe you can be proud of and show it to other people as well. And I want to do this to myself, like for myself, to like have this library, put on the things that I'm really passionate about. I released my album over there with Gabriel, but he didn't give a fuck, so I don't know, like but it's still, it means something to me.
Everyone go listen to his album.
Yeah. If you want, it's not for everybody, and you listen to it. Like when we were like making it every time.
I was even had a bar in one of the songs.
Yes. But the thing is, Gabriel was the producer.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he did with the bars and stuff. And I was over there to just, like freestyle and get over with it.
Yeah.
That was a good album. And so many people like rolling. And like it was like 100 views or something. But it's chill. I love it, at least.
Oh wait, can I say something about the last topic?
What was the last topic?
Posting stuff.
Posting his stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure, why not?
Speaking of which, I also started posting stuff.
Okay.
I started just yesterday for the first time. I posted something with like me making beats. Because when I was younger, I used to try to like have like a beat channel or whatever. I would post beats on SoundCloud and stuff, but I always gave up because I didn't see it going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then also with linguistics, it was a similar thing. Part of why I switched is because I don't really want to be the only job in there is language teacher, translator, or to work in academia later in life. And so I realized I really need to do something creative. And so also now, over the past few months, I realized like I just need to post something just to get in the habit.
Yeah.
Probably it's the same for you. Like just, even if it's not good, even if it's not like what you want it to be, just getting in the habit of putting stuff out there, putting your face out there and whatever.
Exactly. So I'm gonna put your ID of IG for the content creating and the beats. I'm gonna put it like here. Just give me the ID and like, bro, I have to have that shit. Like, let's go. What was your first impression when you arrived? Was anything completely different from what you expected?
There's a lot of small things in Belgium that I noticed. Like there's small things that are just different. For example, Belgium is the only place in the world I noticed that there's a 0 floor.
0 4.
Yeah,
What is 0?
that the floor starts at 0. Everywhere else it's 1. 1, 2, 3.
It's like ground floor, first floor, second floor.
There's that as well, yeah. But
Yeah.
Belgium is the only place where it's like the 0 floor that I've noticed. Maybe it's also in France and the Netherlands, but
Okay.
yeah, small stuff like that. And also like one thing that made me very happy is the multilingualism in Brussels. That just made me so happy because I love languages, and it's like you can walk anywhere on the street and you'll hear like 16 different languages in the same street. And then of course signs, everything is bilingual. The city itself is not very bilingual, but legally,
French,
yeah, legally it's bilingual. So you see signs in both languages. You see advertisements, announcements, all in Dutch and French.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. And I mean, like, Why did your sister chose to go to Netherlands and you chose here? Like, was there any specific reason that you didn't go to, I don't know, Amsterdam to study? Like, if it's personal,
No, no, it's
okay, okay.
I actually did choose to go to Amsterdam to study. I applied to like two different universities in Amsterdam and one in The Hague, and it just happened that the plan was that we were gonna live in Brussels as a family just in August, and my parents would stay in Brussels, and my sister and I would go to the Netherlands. But then very last minute, they didn't accept one of my grades, and I had also applied here. And in Belgium, there's a system where they don't really look at your grades; they just accept you. Um, so
If since like till you have the diploma and you have the proof that you were graduated, I think it's enough. But for us, I don't know, in Iran, it's like GPA is the most important one. For example, if you want to go to a university, you have an entrance exam, and before that, you have to get your diploma from high school, and the GPA is most important. And it was always like a competitive situation. In Iran, it's like getting into uni is super hard, but getting out of it is the easiest shit. So you can graduate like easily. But in here, getting to uni is super easy, but getting out of it, bro, it's a long ass path, you know, like that's a bit fucked up. And you told me you were doing beats. I remember you had some, bro. Like honestly, I remember like at this hostel. I remember I pulled up to your house. You were just there, and we were doing the beats. And in like 5 minutes, you were like making a banger. I was like, bro, what the fuck, man? And he was like, no, it's nothing. It's nothing. But you have to give yourself some credit. When did this happen? This passion of yours, like making beats, and how did you? I don't know. Like so many people goes for drawing or playing a guitar or like making an instrument, but like I don't know, FL Studio and making beats. Where did that come from? Like, does your parents like do like artistic stuff or something like that?
So, no, actually, my parents don't do anything artistic at all. My mom, like in her free time, sometimes draws and paints and stuff, but both of the jobs are very um, humanities related.
Okay.
So that's where my interest for languages came from. Because when I was like a teenager, I thought to myself that I'm gonna work in the EU, or I'm gonna be something more kind of in that sphere. Mm, the creative side was always there. When I was a kid, I would draw. Then I also tried guitar for a little bit. I tried piano for a little bit. I played saxophone for many years.
Oh,
I played it for about 5 years, I think, or 4 or 5 years.
damn. It's crazy. I
I,
didn't know
I
that.
played flute for 1 year before saxophone. I switched from flute to saxophone. And then as I was playing saxophone, from there, that's where I got into FL Studio. Um, I don't remember exactly how, but I just remember it was with a friend. We were both messing around and playing in it. There's like a demo version, so it's very limited. But we would just mess around and play with it, and then I just really liked it, and I just continued, and I just keep coming back to it. There's been periods where I stopped making beats for a month or multiple months, but I always come back. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's because I like it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's good, bro. Honestly. Alex, what was your last name?
I have two last names.
Okay, tell me, but I'm not gonna put it in here.
Sprouse Mitkaviches. Yeah.
What?
Sprouse Mitkaviches.
Sprouse Miscaviches.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
No. The first one, yeah.
Okay, Sprouse.
Yeah.
Miscaviches.
Mitkaviches.
Mitcavichus.
Yeah, close.
No, Miscavichus. Sprout Miscavichus. Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah. That's also something I noticed when I came to Belgium. A lot of people smoke cigarettes in Belgium. In America, for example, it's very taboo. Cigarettes are very taboo. If you're seen smoking a cigarette in public in America, people will think you're disgusting. They'll ask you to put it out. They'll ask you like, "What's wrong with you?" Whatever stuff like that. It's really seen as like a very bad thing, like almost like a sin. Yeah. And then you come here, and it's like a lot of Belgians smoke, but then not even that. Of course, with us there was a lot of Arabs, and I don't think I've met a single Arab that doesn't consume tobacco in some way.
How long have you been living here?
This is my third year.
Third year in Belgium.
Yeah.
2 years in Brussels.
1 year in Brussels, 2 in Ghent. 1 year in Brussels, 2 in Ghent.
Doing 2 years in Ghent.
Well, now it's my second year in Ghent. So one full year, it's almost, yeah.
And first of all, what are the pros and cons in Belgium? And if you wanna like compare Ghent to Brussels, give me some like trade-off. Like, what can you see here that you can't see over there? What are the good things over there? Like, it's a beautiful city. Like Ghent, I love it to visit. But for living, I heard some like I don't know, some biased opinions about it. So I wanna like know yours.
So I always tell people that I was spoiled by Brussels. And what I mean by that is Brussels is really one of the biggest, most important cities in Europe. It's considered the capital of Europe. You can find, because Brussels is a capital city, especially of such an important country, and because it's such an important capital, you can find a bit of everything here, a bit of the entire world in Brussels. Not as much as in some cities like New York or whatever, but still, it's you can really find almost everything here. One example of a difference between Brussels and Ghent is uh, in Ghent overall is more expensive, and that's also because I believe it's also partially because in Brussels there's so much of everything that there's also just so many more cheap options. Because Ghent is smaller, there's less kind of diversity in everything. In well, people of course, but also in terms of food, in terms of things to do, things to see. At the same time, though, Ghent is really pretty beautiful. It's really unique. It has such a huge, beautiful center. I mean, huge in the sense of that they preserved the architecture, like so much of the old architecture. Um, in addition, one thing that I really like more about Ghent is it's quieter. It's really, it's much quieter, and you really feel. Before I didn't notice it because I would come to Brussels almost every weekend. I still come almost every weekend, but with time, I really started to get used to the quiet and the peace and this kind of slower, less hectic, less busy pace of life in Ghent. There's also less people, less trash, less all that kind of stuff. So while Brussels, I'm a really big fan of Brussels, and I consider it my third hometown. I really grown to like Ghent, and it's really very livable, and it's a good place.
Like, how's your social life over there? If you want to compare it to here, like, what has been changed? And what's up, bro? Like, be specific. Like, like in here, I remember the group of friends we had, it was a lot of people, but it wasn't really deep. Like, it was just, we are just there to be there. And if you're there, we're gonna hang out. If not, nothing's gonna happen. But I don't know, over there, how is it? Like, can you relate more to them than here, or?
Um, I would say it's the same thing there in Ghent. Uh, I feel like, yeah, there. Of course, it's more Flemish people, uh, less Arabs, no Arabs actually, um, and it also depends very much on cultural difference. I noticed, for example, people from warmer countries, like yeah, like for example, Arabs or Persians or even in my case, it's over there, it's Romanians. They're much more welcoming than people from northern countries, like Flemish people, Lithuania as well. Lithuanians are pretty introverted. Mm, it really depends on the culture how easy it is to make the friend, but the depth of the friendship, it also depends on culture and where the person's from, um, their background. Um, but it's really hard to compare. I would say it's overall in the scope of university itself, it's pretty similar. It's just where the people come from is very different, and so that on the outside it looks very different because of that.
Well, what's the majority of? Imagine you just got here. All right. Two questions actually. If you can describe Belgium as a person, what kind of personality does this person have?
I can only think of Batu's answer.
Bipolar.
Bipolar, yeah. But okay, let me think of let me try to think of something else if I can.
Yeah. Take your time. Take your time.
It's just for me because I live in Ghent. I really imagine if had to imagine Belgium as a person, I would really think of like a very stereotypical Flemish person. But then the thing is, there's not even such a thing as one stereotypical Flemish person because, for example, a person from Limburg and a person from West Flanders, they can be pretty different. Um, Even within West Flanders itself, there's a difference between the people from the sea and the people more inland, the farmers, the boeren. I don't mean it in a bad way, like just
Yeah.
like the farmers. Um, but still, one there are two things that really there's one thing that really unites all of Belgium: beer.
Beer.
Really,
That's
every you can if I had to personify Belgium, it would be someone holding a Belgian beer.
true.
Yeah.
That's true. Alright. Ask my next question. So like I've been here for like this year is gonna be my 7th year here. Yours is gonna be 3rd year. So what advice would you give to student or a person just pulled up to Belgium? Like, what would it be that make their journey easier? Like, for example, imagine you got here 3 years ago. What would some person would advise you to make everything better for you in this path?
So I noticed that in my case, um, it's very again, it's all cultural. So I also noticed that Flemish people, on the outside they come off as more closed off, more kind of not as open as, for example,
They have their
Arabs.
inner circle.
They have their inner circle. They have the people they grew up with their whole lives. They have everything is very set. But I've moved a lot in my life, and I noticed that anywhere you go in the world, anywhere you go, it's the same thing.
Mhm.
Everyone in the world is the same. Every person, every human being, doesn't matter who they are on the outside. We all think the same things. We all have the same thoughts. We've never had an original thought,
Yeah,
as they
that's
say.
true. That's true.
Um, so when it comes to Flemish people, that's how they come off on the outside. But it's also, think about it this way: it's a language barrier, and it's also cultural differences. So whereas an Arab might, fight you, physically fight you just to pay for something for you, or a
Yeah.
Persian person might do that, or a Turkish person. A Flemish person won't do that, but it's just because it's not something they grew up doing.
Yeah.
It's not in their nature. Um, they would, however, be there for you in other situations, in very personal ones.
That's true. That's true.
Um,
Yes. I totally agree.
or with also, for the example, with like, well, it just really depends. If I had to give some, I guess, based on this topic, if I had to give a piece of advice to someone coming to Belgium, I would say really take your time to understand the people here, because after all, you're in their country. We are in their country. We try to think about it another way. Imagine if someone came to Iran or Lithuania or America. Well, America's a different case. Lithuania or Iran, and came and wouldn't try to learn a single word in the native language, or wouldn't try to make friends with the native people or anything. Um, some people might say, yeah, that's fine. I had one friend who told me, yeah, I don't care. It's fine. Yeah, I'd speak English to them. And yeah, like Flemish people, for example, do speak English. French speakers not so much, but in Brussels they do as well. Um, but still, it helps to just try to really understand the people whose land you're living on, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But also just to, it helps. It makes everything much easier if you make some friends. For example, with me in Ghent, um, I have the Flemish friends that I do have. They're very, I guess, international oriented. You can say they even speak English to each other. Sometimes they forget that they if one of those guys is speaking to the other, sometimes they forget that they both speak Dutch. Um, but it's just at the same time you can really see, in my experience, because I love languages so much. Let's say I go to a restaurant and I ask the person where they're from. They tell me where they're from. Usually I say a word in their language, like thank you or have a good day or whatever. You can instantly see the happiness in their eye. You instantly see the sparkle. I remember the very first time I came to Brussels. Um, Well, I was learning French just by listening to music and watching movies and that kind of stuff. So I wasn't really learning. I was just absorbing French. So I didn't really know much French. But because of rap, I knew a lot of Arabic words as well. Because French rap has a lot of Arabic words.
Yeah.
So I remember the first time I came to Brussels, I went to a place. I asked the guy, "Where are you from?" He said, "Morocco." And I said something in Arabic. I don't remember what it was now. Maybe it was like smahli or something. I don't know. Something.
They got offended, no?
No, he was
Okay.
so happy. He was
Really?
like,
Okay, but we had
he gave me
this.
something for free, I think, as well, like a drink or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and then same thing with Turkish places I go, I say like kolay gelsin, which means work hard.
Mm.
And you just, they are so like speechless and happy at the same time. It's crazy.
I remember you had a neighbor, not a neighbor, but like she used to live in a Schofsland, and you talked something in Arabic, and she got offended by that. You remember, right? Like that was the whole fucking situation.
She got offended because like it's like what is this white guy doing, you know? Like
Yeah,
what's wrong with him? Why is this white guy trying to speak Arabic? But it's just because I love languages. That's it. That's
I
the
know,
only
I
reason.
know.
Like
She,
he defended me actually. He really defended me to her.
yeah.
Just because I love languages. That's it. Like I get it. Some people might be confused. Like why is this guy trying to be like this thing or that thing? Why is he pretending?
But
But
it's not pretending, yeah, bro.
yeah,
Like it's not pretending. Like it's you. You love to learn language. You love to speak to other people's social life, and you want to have like some deeper connection in their own sense of humor,
yeah.
and it's really respectful. And when she doesn't like appreciate that, like that's her fault, you know. Like that's a good thing that you do, and like I really appreciate what you do.
And an example of that is well, when I was growing up, of course, I would sometimes mix like Lithuanian and English with my sister, and then in Lithuania, our secret language was Spanish because people understand English, and we learned Spanish in school, so we'd speak to each other in Spanish as a secret language. When I came here, I started we in Schofsan, the student housing where we lived, where the whole Arab friend group was. We would mix English and Arabic just because the Arabs would be speaking Arabic to each other
Yeah,
sometimes, and when they'd be speaking English, it's just second nature. Sometimes you
that's true.
include your own native language. So we, the non-Arabic speakers, would start speaking like them as well. We would pick up on the way they speak, um, and not just like the white guys. Also you, also the Turks, and
Yeah,
everyone. That's how everyone was speaking. But that still carried on. That's one thing that Belgium is very good for. So now, like, I'll call someone on the phone, and within the same sentence, I'll start the sentence with "Assalamu alaikum, kijk broer, I have whatever, whatever." Like,
yeah,
it's just that's just the way it is.
that's a
Yeah, that's
reflex.
just the
Yeah,
way it is. It's just a reflection of the people you meet in your life and where you live in the moment. Even, for example, my accent, I noticed. My accent changed a lot throughout my life. When I was a kid, when I first moved to America as a kid, I moved from Lithuania to America. I had a strong Lithuanian accent. I spoke English well because my mom was American, but I had an accent because I was living in Lithuania. And I had a tan as well. And I remember this one American kid came up to me and asked, "Where are you from?" I said, "Lithuania." Which part of Mexico is that in?
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
like, people from America.
And then, what was my other example? Accent. Oh, yeah. So then when I moved back to Lithuania, I had like a very American accent, maybe even with a few Southern kind of words and phrases here and there from living in Atlanta. Then when I moved here, I started speaking more with like a bit of a Lithuanian accent again, because I was living in Lithuania. Then when I moved to Ghent, I was speaking with even some words with a bit of like a, well, like I would know, I would call it like a Schofsan dialect.
Yeah, soft
A
like that.
Schofsan
That's
dialect.
true. That's true.
And that, and now it's like, now I even say some words, some people have told me that I sound Flemish and that I look Flemish. Maybe that's just because I don't know why, but you see, it just really,
You look a bit Flemish,
it,
but not like 100%.
yeah.
You know.
But it's just, we are a reflection of many things, including where we grew up, where we lived, and the people that we've been surrounded by. We really are, we're a reflection of these things.
That's true. That's true. I'm really happy to have you as my second guest. Honestly, you have so much like I don't know. You thought about these things that you're talking about. You know, like you don't go like freestyling this shit. You already experienced it, and you're willing to like give it away as well. You know, not so many people would do that. Like, I was asking a girl like, would you come like I don't know on this show to like talk about your experience and what you had like accomplish, what were the pros and cons, like etc. She was like, no, like I totally understand. Like she was like, no, it's super personal. I'm not comfortable sharing it, but at the same time, bro, we're not going that deep. I just want to know what was the surface, what was the difficulties you had in total, in general. And she was like, if you want to talk about stoicism, I'm coming. And brother, this is not like a philosophy show. Like it's just a, I don't know, personal vlog, let's say, to like have my thoughts like out there. But I'm really happy to have you here. Thank you. And what is the quote of the day?
One thing that I've been figuring out lately is one thing I've been telling myself lately is go be Alex today. Because, everyone needs self assurance, everyone needs to learn how to be self assured. So I would tell myself if I was looking in the mirror right now, I would say, well, I am kind of looking in the mirror right now. I would say, go be Alex. Just go be Alex. Hussein, say it to yourself, go be Hussein. Say, look at yourself. And
Oh,
say,
I was about to say like go be Alex, but
go be yourself. Say, go be Hussein.
okay.
And tomorrow as well. And next week as well. And next year be Hussein as well.
Okay, chill. Go be Hossein. For a day, for a week, for a year. Just be yourself. Every day. Do whatever Hossein wants to do. Be Hossein on purpose. Be Alex on purpose. Yeah. I love this new you. I really love this. Yeah.
And the quote of the day is no, yeah. And no. In addition to that, the quote of the day, in addition, is a Flemish phrase, West Flemish phrase. Do tu want trint trin.
Bro, it was like a Pakistani song, no? Duru 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 da da da. But what does it mean?
I completely forgot. Something about a window. I think I don't know.
Window.
Yeah, I don't know.
Alright, fair enough. Let's finish the thingy with the handshake.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching the podcast till now. This was the second episode. Stay toxic and talk sick. And thank you, Alex, for being here as my second guest. It was really an honor.
Thank you for having me.
No, bro, always, always, always. And let's finish it with our handshake, huh? It's been here for like 3 years.
Yes.
Okay. Baby, there is something you should know. Okay, proper. Cheers. See you in 2 weeks.